The Chinese sexagenary cycle, also known as the stems and branches, is a cycle of 60 terms used for recording days or years. It appears, as a means of recording days, in the first Chinese written texts, the Shang dynasty oracle bones from the late 2nd millennium BC. Its use to record years began around the middle of the 3rd century BC. The cycle, and variations on it, have been an important part of historical calendrical systems in other, Chinese-influenced Asian states, notably those of Japan, Korea and Vietnam. This traditional method of numbering days and years no longer has any significant role in modern Chinese timekeeping or the official calendar. However, the sexagenary cycle continues to have a role in contemporary Chinese astrology and fortune-telling. Overview. Each term in the sexagenary cycle consists of 2 Chinese characters. The first representing a term from a cycle of 10 known as the heavenly stems and the second from a cycle of 12 known as the earthly branches. The first term combines the first heavenly stem with the first earthly branch. The second combines the second stem with the second branch. This continues, generating a total of 60 different terms, after which the cycle repeats itself. This combination of 2 subcycles to generate a larger cycle and its use to record time have parallels in other calendrical systems, notably the Arcan calendar. History. The sexagenary cycle is attested as a method of recording days from the earliest written records in China, records of divination on oracle bones. Begin in California, 1250 BC. Almost every oracle bone inscription includes a date in this format. This use of the cycle for days is attested throughout the Zhou dynasty and remained common into the Han period for all documentary purposes that required dates specified to the day. Almost all the dates in the spring and autumn annals, a chronological list of events from 722 to 481 BC, use this system in combination with rain years and months to record dates. Eclipses recorded in the annals demonstrate that continuity in the sexagenary day count was unbroken from that period onwards. It is likely that this unbroken continuity went back still further to the first appearance of the sexagenary cycle during the Shang period. The use of the sexagenary cycle for recording years is much more recent. The earliest document showing this usage is a diagram among the silk manuscripts from the Wangdui Tomb 3, sealed in 168 BC. An annotation marking the first year of the reign of Qin Shi Huang, 246 BC, is applied to the diagram next to the position of the 60 cycle term corresponding to that year. Use of the cycle to record years became widespread for administrative timekeeping during the Western Han dynasty. The count of years has continued uninterrupted ever since. The year 1984 began the present cycle, and 2044 will begin another. Note that in China the new year, when the sexagenary count increments, is not January 1st, but rather the Lunar New Year of the traditional Chinese calendar. For example, the Yichu year began on January 26, 2009, which occurs near February 4. In Japan, according to Nippon Shoki, the calendar was transmitted to Japan in 553, but it was not until the Suiko era that the calendar was used for politics. The year 604, when the Japanese officially adopted the Chinese calendar, was the first year of the cycle. The Japanese tradition of celebrating the 60th birthday reflects the influence of the sexagenary cycle as a count of years. The Tibetan calendar also counts years using a 60-year cycle based on 12 animals and 5 elements, 10 heavenly stems, 12 earthly branches. The names of several animals can be translated into English in several different ways. The Vietnamese earthly branches use cat instead of rabbit. Conversion between cyclic years and Western years. As mentioned above, the cycle first started to be used for indicating years during the Han dynasty, but of course it can be used to indicate earlier years retroactively. Since it repeats by itself, it cannot specify a year without some other information, but it is frequently used with the Chinese era name to specify a year. Of course, the year starts with the new year of whoever is using the calendar. In China, the cyclic year normally changes on the Chinese Lunar New Year. In Japan, until recently, it was the Japanese Lunar New Year, which was sometimes different from the Chinese. Now it is January 1st. So when calculating the cyclic year of a date in the Gregorian year, you have to consider what your new year is. Hence, the following calculation deals with the Chinese dates after the Lunar New Year in that Gregorian year, to find the corresponding sexagenary year in. The dates before the Lunar New Year would require the Gregorian year to be decreased by 1. As for example, the year 2697 BC, traditionally the first year of the reign of the legendary Yellow Emperor, was the first year of a cycle. 2,700 years later in 04 AD, the duration equivalent to 45 60-year cycles, was also the starting year of a 60-year cycle. Similarly, 1980 years later, 1984 was the start of a new cycle. Thus, to find out the Gregorian year's equivalent in the sexagenary cycle, use the appropriate method below. For any year number greater than 04 AD, the equivalent sexagenary year can be found by subtracting 3 from the Gregorian year, dividing by 60 and taking the remainder. See example below. For any year before 01 AD, the equivalent sexagenary year can be found by adding 2 to the Gregorian year number, dividing it by 60, and subtracting the remainder from 60. See example below. 01 AD, 02 AD and 03 AD correspond respectively to the 58th, 59th and 60th years of the sexagenary cycle. The result will produce a number between 0 and 60, corresponding to the year order in the cycle. If the remainder is 0, it corresponds to the 60th year of a cycle. Thus, using the first method, the equivalent sexagenary year for 2012 AD is the 29th year, as mod 60 equals 29. Using the second, the equivalent sexagenary year for 221 BC is the 17th year, as 60 mod 60 equals 17 divided by 60 is 17. Examples. Step-by-step example to determine the sign for 1967. 1967 to 3 equals 1964. 1964 divided by 60 equals 32. 1964 equals 44. Open the table, sexagenary cycle, look for 44 in the first column and obtain fire goat. Step-by-step example to determine the cyclic year of first year of the reign of Qin Shi Huang. 246 plus 2 equals 248. 248 divided by 60 equals 4. 248 equals 8. 60 to 8 equals 52. Open the table, sexagenary cycle, look for 52 in the first column and obtain wood rabbit. A shorter equivalent method. Start from the AD year, take directly the remainder mod 60, and look into column AD. 1967 equals 60 times 32 plus 47. Remainder is therefore 47, and the AD column of the same table gives fire goat. For a BC year, discard the minus sign, take the remainder of the year mod 60 and look into column BC. 246 equals 60 times 4 plus 6. Remainder is therefore 6, and the BC column of the same table gives wood rabbit. When doing these conversions, year 246 BC cannot be treated as minus 246 AD due to the lack of a year 0 in the Gregorian AD BC system. The following tables show recent years and their corresponding years in the cycles. 1804, 1923, 1924, 2043 months in sexagenary cycle. The branches are used marginally to indicate months. Despite there being 12 branches and 12 months in a year, the earliest use of branches to indicate a 12-fold division of a year was in the 2nd century BC. They were coordinated with the orientations of the Great Dipper. There are two systems of placing these months, the lunar one and the solar one. One system follows the ordinary Chinese lunar calendar and connects the names of the months directly to the central solar term. The Jianziyu is the month containing the winter solstice juncture. The Jianchaoyu is the month of the following juncture, which is Dahan, while the Jianinyu is that of the Yushui juncture, etc. Intercalary months have the same branch as the preceding month. In the other system, the month lasts for the period of 2 solar terms. The Ziyu is the period starting with Daxue, i.e., the solar term before the winter solstice. The Chaoyu starts with Xian, the term before Dahan, while the Yinyu starts with Likhun, the term before Yushui, etc. Thus, in the solar system, a month starts anywhere from about 15 days before to 15 days after its lunar counterpart. The branch names are not usual month names. The main use of the branches for months is astrological. However, the names are sometimes used to indicate historically which month was the first month of the year in ancient times. For example, since the Han Dynasty, the first month has been Jianinyu, but earlier the first month was Jianziyu or Jianchaoyu as well. For astrological purposes, stems are also necessary, and the months are named using the sexagenary cycle following a 5-year cycle starting in a Jia or Ji year. The first month of the Jia or Ji year is a Bing Yin month, the next one is a Ding Mao month, etc. And the last month of the year is a Ding Chu month. The next year will start with a Wu Yin month, etc. Following the cycle, the 5th year will end with a Yi Chu month. The following month, the start of a Ji or Jia year, will hence again be a Bing Yin month again. The beginning and end of the months in the table below are the approximate dates of current solar terms. They vary slightly from year to year, depending on the leap days of the Gregorian calendar. Bibliography. Bartle, F.W. 40 Days. The Archon Calendar. Africa. Journal of the International African Institute 48. 80-84, DOI 10.2307, 1,158,712. Kalinowski, Mark. Time, Space and Orientation. Figurative representations of the sexagenary cycle in ancient and medieval China. In Francesca Bray. Graphics and Text in the Production of Technical Knowledge in China. The Warp and the Weft. Leiden. Brill. pp. 137-168. ISBN 97890-04-16063-7. Smith, Adam. The Chinese Sexagenary Cycle and the Ritual Origins of the Calendar. In John Steele. Calendars and Years 2. Astronomy and Time in the Ancient and Medieval World. Oxford. Oxbow. pp. 1-37. ISBN 978184217-987-1.